The product pages of your e-commerce are the core of your SEO strategy. Most businesses basically just add the product, some reviews and some text, and that's it. But what they don't know is that Google loves when you do these 8 things. In this video, I'm gonna show you if you should create a product page or actually a category page, how to find out what to add in your page so it works for your specific e-commerce, the things that I add in my clients' e-commerce websites that might work if you add it in yours, and if you stay till the end, 2 more tricks that will absolutely transform how many customers you get from Google to your product pages. So let's get to it. Believe it or not, before you even start creating a product page, you have to wonder everything. And you have to wonder, should I actually be creating a product page or, like a lot of the SEO world are focusing on, a category page? It's a little bit confusing. As the word says it, a product page normally has one product. In this case, my client has the ability to customize the product, but it's still one product. And in a classic e-commerce, it would look like something like this. But a category page actually lists different products. There's different products right here. And if I was to click one of them, it will open a single product page. There's 2 techniques to know what to do, and you're probably gonna be 90% right. And the first one is, like with everything in SEO, reverse engineer your competitors. So it's as simple as this. You just search your target keyword, whether it's in Google or in a SEO tool like this, and then you want to open the actual pages that are ranking. And you want to count how many of them are products, how many are categories, and how many are, let's say, an exception. So I love you neon sign. It's a little bit confusing, right? Is it product? Do you want me to put just one product or a lot of them? So when we look at Google's results, we have a product page, product page, product page, category, but we have to consider that is Etsy. So they're probably ranking because it's a big authority and they tend to have categories, but it is a category, product. They'll have pop-ups. This is an exception. You see images. So this has nothing to do with us. So we ignore that one, and then product and product. So actually this one's pretty clear that Google seems to be rewarding actual product pages instead of categories. So it's a pretty strong signal that you should create a product page if you want to target this keyword. But it's not always as straightforward as this. If we go to green neon sign, now it's still confusing, right? This is why a lot of SEOs are wondering. So if we open the competitor, we have a category. In this case, it's not really classic. It's more like landing page category style, I call them, but it is listing different products. We have a category, they all have the pop-ups, category, product, but again, same as Etsy is Amazon, probably ranking with products. So normally I don't even consider Amazon too much. And then we have a category here, doesn't load too much, another category, and another category, and then another category, and then Pinterest. So you can see for this one, it's actually pretty clear that we should actually go and create a category page to target that keyword. And the second way to know is using your market experience and expertise. If you understand your business and what you're selling, you'll be able to see how specific your potential client is being when typing the keyword. So the perfect example is this. Let's say they put Samsung TV. Without looking at other competitors, you can understand that there are many types of Samsung TVs. So you can think like Google thinks and say, if there's many types of Samsung TVs, let's give pages with a lot of types of Samsung TVs. But let's say a customer, instead of Samsung TV, they were to search Samsung Odyssey 27 inches. I'm not really sure right now, but probably there's really just one model of this TV. So Google can understand this and actually show, in this case, product pages, because there are not several models of this, and the user is being very specific on what it is that they want. So you can use this logic for yourself as well. Now we're going to find out what is it that you actually need to add in your product pages to not only rank in Google, but we don't need to forget to actually get a sale. So I'll show you the technique we do in the agency so you can find whatever you need just for your e-commerce, as well as a few things that we sprinkle with our clients so you can do too, and they always work. So we do this scary thing here called a structured research. It looks scary, confusing. You might want to change to another video, but don't worry, because the logic is there and it's quite straightforward. There's 3 or 2.5 things you should do. The first one, like always, before anything, think and brainstorm. You, if it's you, the owner or the manager doing this task, probably have a lot of market knowledge about the product and what is it that your clients want. So what I want you to do is a thinking exercise. This thinking exercise is, instead of having a website, imagine you're in your shop and then someone comes in and says, I want to buy this. However, it's not that easy. You don't just give them the product. They want to understand more about the product to actually buy. And it's your job to actually explain that to the person. So think, what is it that you will explain and show to that person to actually get them the information they need to actually buy the product? And most probably that is what you should add in your product page. But why stop brainstorming there when instead of one brain, we can have two brains? And that is AI. Is super helpful with this, but you need this mega prompt. If you go to the description of the video, you can get for free, but it's really important that you learn how to use it because there's several steps to it. So first we're gonna say this part here, and in here, ideally, you want to put several product keywords, and then you'll copy paste what comes next, but in here in quotes, you want to put what it is that you think that the customer wants. Don't just say they want this product. What is it that they want? Why would they have a need to buy that product? What's their pain point? This is for my client right here. In this step, and you might not need to do it, and I'll explain why later, is you need to explain to ChatGPT in this case, the variables that people are using to find your product. So again, if you look closely, they want, and then you can paste again what you added in here as an explanation. You don't need to type it again. So I say, for example, they want this, but they also want this. And if you see a few of my keywords, you see that they are variables. For example, Galapagos packages, honeymoon. Those are specific types of people, right? So you can explain what that variable means. They want a package focus and on a specific variable, in this case, a couple doing their honeymoon. But there's also, for example, Galapagos packages diving. That's a different type of people with different pain points. So you can explain to ChatGPT what it is that they want. The reason you're doing this is probably actually if you didn't do it, it will give something good actually. So that's why I'm saying you can sort of skip this step. But the more examples you give, the better the answer is going to be from ChatGPT. And then finally, don't worry, no need to fill anything here up. You just copy paste this. Again, it's in the prompt. So in the prompt, number 1 is here, number 2 is here, and number 3 is here. With X, I've added the things that you need to type yourself. And then look at this. It links two really important things. It links actual pain points that people would have relative to the keywords that you've given, but also how those pain points could be solved in a page. So it gives a suggestion of a page element to add. For example, if someone is overwhelmed with choices, this is a real good pain point that people searching for holiday packages might have, and you might do a quiz, a visual journey, or a AI chatbot. So you can choose any of these, and you can even grab these and say, tell me more elements instead of just 3 for this specific pain point. And all you want to do is note down anything that's interesting that either your brain or the artificial brain has told you to add. And then the second step, like I said a few minutes ago, is reverse engineer competitors. So you probably already have them open to decide if you should create a page or a category. So just look around, just look at what it is that they have that could be relevant, and then just make a note of it right here. Keep in mind that a lot of stuff you'll find actually from competitors instead of brainstorming. And the good thing is that the beginning will be slow because there's a lot of things that are interesting here, but little by little you'll see that there's patterns. Everyone is adding a carousel, or they're all adding toggles about delivery and shipping, for example. So as you do it, it will get faster, and there'll be a point where you've selected everything that you think is interesting from a competitor that you might want to add in your page, and then you're good to go. And once you have all of this, you have the choice to just go to your website and add it yourself. But because we deal with a lot of developers, we need to essentially create a structured research in a docs format. So believe it or not, for example, what you see here that looks quite confusing is actually this product page from a customer, from a client of mine, that we still need to add this new design that you see here. As you can see here, we add in a section with a purpose, and inside we're telling the developers and the client what it is that we're going to add inside, and then some details inside. So for example, we have a section for the bestseller, and that section will have a title, some text, and then the best-selling product. And that already developed is what you see here in another client of me. A title, and then some text, and the best-selling product. In this case, just for context, for this client, it was a category, not a product page. If you have a product page, inside a product page, you don't add the best-selling product because it's just one product. But you can see here, this is a client that it was a category. So in a category page like this one, it might be helpful to actually add a best-selling product. Out of all of this is the best one. And then we add it at the bottom. Like I said at the beginning of the video and in the title, what you're gonna do now, the structured research works whether you are gonna do a product page or a category page. You're figuring out what to add in your page. In this case, a page that is not a blog or an informational page, a transactional. So it works for both. And here are a few things that you don't have to go crazy looking to do a structured research, although I recommend you to do it. that I'm gonna tell you that you can add yourself, and it will be helpful. So add as much information about your product as possible, but make sure that at the beginning, when you add it, it's not too overwhelming. It goes straight to the point. For example, for this client, we have all the product information that's needed here. In this case, because they're gonna customize it, it's quite a lot, so it seems like quite a lot, but that's it. That's all the information they need in that moment. If they want more, they can go to other sections. For example, if we scroll all the way down here, we've added information that is not as critical for the customer, so it doesn't need to be the first thing, but it would be helpful. That analogy of someone coming in the shop and asking you things before they buy, they might want to know some tips about using, some tips to use the product. Or for example, in our structured research, we found out that a lot of clients are going to buy a lot of these products, so they'll want to understand for what types of events is this product helpful with. So pop-up shops, trade shows, and all of this. Keep in mind that you're not only just giving help to your client, you're actually adding more SEO text to the page. So that's always great. If you have it, always add reviews. Sometimes it might be complicated to get the reviews from clients, but I recommend you to use a plugin. There's a lot in WordPress and Shopify. So this increases the chances of someone buying big time. FAQ questions, and make sure they are unique to the product, not just the same FAQs with the same questions for all your product pages. If you have it and it's possible, images and videos tend to help really well to interact more with the page. And you might realize that, okay, you have the product, but Alex, you're telling me to add a lot of things. So it might be helpful to actually add, even though this is not a product page, it can be added everywhere. In my agency page, I have this sort of menu that is static, that follows you, and it actually takes you to different pages, different sections of the website. So if we go to results, you click and it will take you right there, and then the user is able to stay there. But if they scroll up, you can see it takes them directly to tasks. So not only it allows the person to actually go to the specific section of the page, but actually understand where it is that they are. So anything that is helping the customer understand the page and actually find and digest that extra helpful content you've added, you're doing yourself a favor to get a sale. And the final thing I recommend you to add is similar products. Add a carousel with internal linking to other products. Not only you'll help the actual customer find other products, but you're internal linking to these pages, and that will help them rank better. So you're almost there, you know what to add to your SEO page, but let me give you a few tricks to make sure that you add it correctly and you actually rank them. It's really important that you add as many titles as possible, of course, in a way that it makes sense for the user and in different hierarchies. So for example, we have the H1, always one H1, and we have the name of the product in this case. And then we have different titles, H2s, separated into different sections. So some of them are more information about the product, others are FAQs, and even the elements that don't have text can have a title. For example, the videos, we can add videos of, and then the product name. This way, we're adding more titles, adding the keyword more times in a helpful way. It's not just repeating it, and it will send signals to Google that this page is about that product and rank it. One thing that is really important, and it's quite advanced, and it will be relevant only if you have a lot of products, but most e-commerce are like this, so it's probably relevant for you, is to try to write as little words as possible while still keeping a balance where you're being helpful and there's enough text that there's not just like 200 words or something like that. So it's hard to give you a recommendation, but with my clients, depending if it's a typical product e-commerce page, we probably might just have 500 to 800 words. And as you can see here in each section, we actually add how many words we're gonna add. So we keep control of this and we don't let the writer just write super long titles, or for specific FAQs, write answers that are too long, because the less words you add, the more resources you save. So the more words you can write for other product pages. This might not be relevant for you if you're the owner of the business, because it's just your time, the resources. But for my clients, I have different plans, and you can see in each of the plans, we write more SEO pages, and to write those SEO pages, we have more words. So for example, here, we will use a lot, like 60,000 words or whatever. So if a product page has less words, we can write more product pages with the same amount of words. Two things that are absolutely crucial is the first one, the pagination. As I said in the chapter before, product pages have to be internally linked, but many times they'll be internally linked from a category that lists all the products. So you have the homepage right here, and you can reach that category page. This is a huge enterprise client. You can see it's really crazy. So you see, for example, tumblers, those types of products. And in this case, we created a category page, not a product page, because Google told us, you see. You already learned that in chapter 1. But then in here, we have a lot of products, and each of these is trying to rank in Google. But you can see you cannot add all the products that you have here, especially if you have a big e-commerce. So for that, you need to add pagination, which really quickly, I strongly recommend to add pagination with numbers and not the infinite page pagination that you scroll and more products appear. I know it looks nicer, but unfortunately, Google deals with this kind of pagination way better than the infinite one. So this pagination is essentially you click, you go to page 2, and it has a URL that Google can crawl and find and understand that is a pagination. And then you can scroll and then you have more products. So you'll be able to actually find more products instead of having the infinite scrolling, because that infinite scrolling is triggered by JavaScript and then Google struggles more to find these products. But the important thing is, if you can, try to decrease the amount of pagination you have, because what you want is you want your products to be as close as possible from the homepage if you were thinking of clicking and finding the product from the homepage. Let me explain. This is depth number 0, let's say, okay? So when we went here to the actual category, that's depth number 1. And then this product, I click and it's depth number 2, right? So it took essentially 2 clicks to get there. But to reach, let's say, products in page number 5, that's sort of 5 clicks away from Google, okay? Well, it wouldn't be 5, wouldn't be, because the actual link is there. But if Google had to go to page 5 and then that's another click. In this case, if there were more pages here, like this e-commerce normally has like 60, then there's several clicks to actually reach to 60. Think of it as clicks, okay? So the trick is very simple. Just try to add as many products as you can here without actually overwhelming the user. So for my client, we haven't set it up yet, but I've recommended to double the amount of products that's here. But you can even triple it. You'll be surprised, especially if you have great filtering like you have here, you'll be surprised that customers are okay scrolling and looking for products because they already decided that they're doing that, and it's actually helpful for them to see different options. So if you do that, you're helping your client, but you're also decreasing the amount of depth that your products are at. And finally, a lot of e-commerce sites have this issue, is you need to make sure that Google is actually finding your product. So we'll go again to that category page that is introducing Google to the product. Here's the link and you see it, right? You see it, and if I click, I open it and it's there, right? But Google might not actually be seeing it due to the theme or the CMS that you use. Don't worry, because most of them you'll be fine, but it's worth to check this because it's just one time. So what you want to do is grab the category and you just have to do one category. That's fine, because all the categories have the same theme. So you grab any category of your website and then you put it in Google Search Console and you inspect the URL. But in this case, instead of the typical request indexing, you want to test the live URL. Google is going to visit it, test it, and tell you information about it. And that's what we want to check. So now that is done, you can go to View Tested Page, and there it is. There's the code that Google has found. So it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is grab the URL of the first product. It's there, right? So it means if it's there and I can open it, that it should be in the code. So the logic is simple. You go to the code and you go and find if that URL exists. There it is in yellow. And if you look at the code a little bit, you can understand, yes, this URL right here is exactly the one right here. So if it appears, it means Google has found it and is able to, understand it. If you don't see it, watch out, because it might be because your theme is hiding things via JavaScript, or there's other issues like deferring loading due to website speed. So if you don't see it here, Google is not finding your product and is not finding the internal link and not going to rank it. So it's a super important technical issue. I actually point out even more advanced issues in this video, Enterprise SEO, or in other words, if you have a big website. And if you stayed until here and you enjoyed all of this, I'm sure this other video is going to be helpful. So click here or it's in the description. And now it's your turn. Let's go.